making $511 trading Robinhood. Just closed this one out, and I figured I'd make a video on it because it is worth the video, as we always do for all of our recaps. So this one, if you were to go back to, I think, the last Robinhood trade recap that was posted on the channel like a while ago, it's actually like 3 weeks ago now or something like that. We had, I think it was the 16th of January. So I didn't size appropriately on the original. And so I ended up taking a smaller trade that I then sold like 95% of, or I took a bigger size trade because it was a shorter time frame, but I sold 95% of it and I left a tiny piece of it on and then just adjusted my stop loss for where my swing was and my target where my swing was. So that's why we have a 26 here and a 10 there. The 26 is on the 25K account. The 10 was on the $10,000 account. But the normal trade, or like the actual trade that the original day was the 15th of January. And on the $10,000 account made 127. On the 25K account made 323. So you can see inside of here the executions. Yeah, it was the 15th of January at 9:53 a.m. and it closed out on the 7th of February at 9:32 a.m. So let's get into the recap because that's what we're all about here. Finally getting a win. I feel like it's been a while, but it's kind of how the game goes. Right now, up on the month, we have some open trades that are up. One of them I may end up making a recap on that'll get posted up here shortly. It might be a break even. We'll see. We're getting into the, I got it on like Monday or Tuesday, and like it hasn't done shit all week essentially. Well, it kind of has, but it's just like we're like still just around our break even point, and we're going into the weekend. Probably just going to get out of it for the weekend because it's just not moving. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. But let's get into the Robinhood idea. So this is a trade that really originated a while ago. It was on the weekly time frame, so you can see we just hit it today. I was actually a little bit interested. Yesterday I was like, oh, here we go. Oh, and by the way, my silver trade just closed at break even just now, so that'll be the next recap. So you'll see that recap next. So yeah, I gotta say, loving Trade Locker, like the app that some prop firms will use. Super nice. I get the alerts on my watch. I get them on my iPad. My phone's not even over here, but like I get them. Super nice. DX Trade, these prop firms using DX Trade for stocks. Hey, because they have stocks, I'm going to use them. And I just went through the math like in a separate exercise. And it wouldn't really make sense until I'm willing to toss like 15 to 20K. Obviously, there's the PDT rules, but I don't really day trade that much, so it wouldn't matter. Until you have like 15 to 20K to swing, to toss into a brokerage account, which right now I am getting closer and closer to paying off all my loans. So I'm not really interested in putting that money aside. I'm just paying the loans off. So I'm not really in that position to do so. But when the time comes, yes. But in the meantime, it's kind of like prop firms just make more sense just for me. My situation currently, what makes sense for me. So I'm going to roll with them. But in doing so, you got to deal with their rules and their brokers and stuff. And it's like kind of a bitch because now that I swing trade pretty much most of the time, I'd say like now it's like 80% swing trades. Now that I do that, I don't like, what if I'm on the move? Like I'm out doing something or I'm not here when my, trading view alert goes off and I'm like, oh, let me check that chart. Oh, it looks good. Let's get in. I have to have my computer, which is kind of a bitch. So, something to think about. But the reality is, more often than not, during the trading hours of a normal week, I would probably have access to my computer unless I'm on the move traveling somewhere. And maybe I won't, but not a big deal. So Robinhood trade, this is actually a weekly, like here's the daily chart. This trade originated based off a weekly time frame. So the daily's looking good. I can kind of hypothesize based off of this that the weekly would also look pretty good. The weekly is just tighter. It looks better. So the reason why I say that is because I have to mark off a stop, and usually it's the breaking candle low. Every situation, the context could be a little bit different. So, it could be, slightly different. But in this case, the breaking candle was the weekly. Now, I did get in earlier on that candle, but we did have a weekly breaking candle. So I put my stop loss initially there. Once we got a decent move in our direction, more than halfway to our take profit, we ended up moving our stop loss to break even. So that was the original kind of thing. This is about a 1.5 to 1 risk reward, so kind of on the lower end of what that's like what I want at least, is really what I'm looking at. But the thing that I was thinking about on this type of trade, and this is like one of those where, I think the sizing could have been bigger, to be honest with you, because it took like 3 weeks, and you're sitting back saying, 3 weeks to make that much money, I think like, you know what I mean? But now that I'm swing trading more, in the grand scheme, it'll all iron itself out, so I don't really care that much. But I did know when I got in back on the 15th, on the day we broke out, I did know that we did have an earnings coming up in February, and that was on the 12th. So I knew I had about a month. I had that 4 weeks this trade had until I had to be out of it. And so I said, about 4 weeks, fine. The thing is, as I looked back on it, big ass move. I mean, this thing I required a move of 22%. 22% for my entry is a fuck ton. I mean, that's a big ass move, I think. Obviously, you look at the context and I'm like, yeah, Robinhood can definitely do it. It's a pretty volatile stock, so not a huge deal. But I'm like, 20% risking like 15 to make 20. I mean, those types of situations probably going to need more time, probably going to need more size. Is kind of how my mind works. So I wouldn't be opposed going forward in the future on trades that I have maybe like on a bigger time horizon, like a weekly time frame or something like that. I wouldn't be opposed as the data comes in to probably size them a bit more, meaning when I say doing that, it's like, it's going to be meaning like this. Oh, boom. Check this out. Oh, no, nothing happened. Just reloaded my screen. Okay. That's TradeZilla just automatically importing trades. They should have one to import here shortly on the other trade once that account resyncs or whatever. Hopefully it'll do it. I don't have to manually do anything, but that's the deal. So the Robinhood trade right here, probably, more towards like that 150 to 175, target on the 10K account, and then whatever that means in the 25K account is probably what I'm thinking about, based on the sizing. That's just kind of how my head works based off this. So I don't know, not bad by any means. Just a couple of weeks and eventually got there. Great thing though, relative strength, had it, absolutely great, awesome. What it did have a correlation to, and I think it's worth noting too as well, not super tight, but like to a degree, it seemingly had a correlation to Bitcoin at times. When we got into the trade, Bitcoin had made, or the initial push on the trade, Bitcoin was actually in the middle of making this push right here to those highs. And if we go back in time from that was like the 15th when we got in to about like the 21st. So if you go back on Robinhood on those days, 15th to 21st, that was our first push. So it got a really good push and it got up to about $52 on the 24th, that Friday. So it had a really nice push, and that was our big, initial nudge. Then we had these like weird, tariff news, yada yada, Trump tweets type shit, kind of reminding us back of like the 2015 or 2016, 2020 timeframe. You go back to those timeframes or that time frame, and he was kind of, market was pretty volatile based off of that. And so we had all this tariff stuff, and I was like, oh, fuck, we're going to end up losing. Or I think at that point in time, I moved my stop loss to break even. So I wasn't like, oh, we're not going to lose. But I was like, yeah, it's going to be kind of a bitch. And then we end up having these bigger like moves down overnight over the weekend, and then it kind of snaps back during the week. Same exact thing happened this week. Had this gap down over the weekend, and then that Monday candle, I was like, okay, we got that Monday candle, and it went from opening at 48 pretty much and pushing up to 52 by the close on Monday. I was like, yeah, I mean, we're probably going to hit target. We're probably going higher. Yeah, no guarantees. We probably are. Stop loss was still at break even. Does not mean double down. Like, I guess in theory, maybe it could. Maybe I could have. Should have. I don't know. But I don't do that. But yeah. Then the thing was, the only thing that kind of got me like potentially like pissed was yesterday. So we hit this today. Nice. Barely, really. 25, 30 cents above our target, which is great. But on Thursday, we opened the day, and pretty much, I can go to the 5-minute chart to show you. So if you go back to Thursday morning, this is actually in pre-market. And I can't sell based on the broker. I can't sell till the market opens. I think even till like 5 minutes after or something like that. Maybe like two. Well, actually, it sold today at 9:32. So yeah, maybe it's like a minute or something like that. We end up opening at 54.80 and then just not dumping, but like fell off the rest of the day pretty much. Closed decently strong, but like I was like, oh God, like are we really going to get, like, I effectively got the target in pre-market. Like, it pretty much got there. I'm like, are we really going to get screwed by, like, it's going to nip it and then it's going to just fall off and then I'm never going to get the TP to hit because then we got earnings next week and it's not going to get there? Like, that would be crazy. I've had a couple of close calls where past couple trades, like, on some of these swings, for whatever reason, where I sell is very close to the top. Had it on Apple. I had it on, I think, Home Depot or something like that recently as well. For whatever reason, it was like, I don't know, my just, psychic brain was just perfectly predicting take profit levels. I don't know. Obviously, it's a joke because if I was truly, that good, then I wouldn't have lost on some trades, but that's where we're at. So 232, not much data here on the month, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't consider this. I wouldn't even consider this because we're kind of skewed on some of these numbers. So just take it with a grain of salt. Average these guys out over bigger sample sizes, but we'll see how the rest of the month goes. We got a couple trades open. Got one that we're gonna break even. I'm gonna do a recap on that next. I'm going like my mouth just keeps moving, and I feel like I mumble a lot, but that's just my brain, how it works, I guess, sometimes. I'll leave a link to TradeZelle below, and I'll see you in the next recap. Stay tuned. It is a silver recap. Peace.